You ever get that gut feeling? The kind that tells you something's wrong even when everything looks perfect on the outside? Yeah, that feeling destroyed my life. If you're watching this, don't ignore your instincts. Sometimes your heart whispers the truth long before your eyes catch up. Before I start, hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and let me know in the comments what you would have done if you were in my shoes. Now, here's how I found out my wife was cheating thanks to a hidden app. My name's Ryan Cooper. I'm 32, and until a few months ago, I thought I had the perfect marriage. My wife Haley and I had been together for almost 7 years, married for 5. She's the kind of woman people notice when she walks into a room. Warm smile, soft voice, the kind of energy that makes everyone want to be near her. I fell in love with her during my junior year of college. She was studying interior design. I was the quiet software engineering major who didn't really fit into the party crowd. Somehow, she saw something in me. We built a life together, moved into a cozy little house in Austin, got a dog, started planning for kids. We weren't rich, but we were happy. Or at least, I thought we were. It started with small things. Haley had always been open with her phone. She'd leave it on the couch, the kitchen counter, anywhere. Then suddenly, it was glued to her hand. She started setting new passwords, turning it face down every time she got a text. I asked her about it once, just jokingly, and she smiled and said, "Relax, Rye. I'm just being careful. Clients can be a little weird sometimes." Haley worked as an interior designer, so her phone was full of photos, designs, and conversations with clients. It made sense. Until it didn't. Because a week later, she told me she had to meet a new client, a guy named Lucas Reed. Apparently, he wanted her to redesign his downtown apartment. She said he was professional but demanding. The first time she came home after meeting him, she was glowing, like actually glowing. She laughed at everything I said, hugged me tighter than usual. I thought maybe it was just work excitement. But over the next few weeks, the late nights started. Lucas needs me to check a few samples tonight. Lucas wants to finalize the lighting plan before Monday. Lucas this, Lucas that. I didn't say anything at first. I wanted to trust her. Trust was the foundation of what we had. But every time she mentioned his name, it felt like someone was twisting a knife in my chest. Then came the moment that changed everything. One Friday night, I was working late in my office when Haley called. She said she'd be home around 10. Her meeting with Lucas had run longer than expected. Fine, no big deal. Except, an hour later, I got an alert on my phone. See, being a software engineer, I have this habit of experimenting with tools and security apps. Months ago, I had synced Haley's phone to a shared location app just for safety reasons. I never used it. Until that night. Her location wasn't at Lucas's apartment. It was at the Westfield Hotel. I stared at that little red dot on the map for a long time. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking, and my brain was screaming 1,000 things at once. I told myself it had to be a mistake. Maybe she was meeting a client there. Maybe she was picking something up. But deep down, I knew. I didn't confront her that night. When she got home, she looked tired but happy. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "You're up late." I just smiled and said, "Yeah, couldn't sleep." She had no idea that I was dying inside. The next day, I decided to find the truth once and for all. Haley had changed her phone password recently, but there was a small window of opportunity. Every morning, she'd shower with her phone on the counter, unlocked from using Spotify. That's when I made my move. I went in quietly, pretending to grab a towel, and mirrored her phone onto my laptop using a developer tool I'd built years ago. It took less than 30 seconds. For the next few days, I didn't touch her phone again. I just monitored the data, messages, app usage, everything. It was mostly normal, Instagram, Pinterest, WhatsApp. Then, one night, something new appeared. An app called SafePick. It looked like a simple photo backup tool, but it wasn't on the App Store. It was one of those hidden gallery apps that disguises itself. I recognized the code signature instantly. It was a private photo locker. That night, I barely slept. My mind was racing. I knew I shouldn't open it, but I couldn't stop myself. I created a mirrored version of the app and accessed the files through her backup. Inside, there were over 50 hidden photos. Some were just selfies, design samples, room layouts, But then I found one that made my stomach drop. It was Haley, sitting on a hotel bed wearing a silk dress I'd never seen before. Her hand was holding someone's arm, and that arm had a black and silver watch, the same one Lucas wore when I met him once at her gallery event. I froze. My throat felt dry. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was stare. There were more pictures, blurry ones, but enough to know. It wasn't just business. It was intimate. Too intimate. I closed my laptop, sat in the dark, and listened to the hum of our refrigerator. The woman sleeping in the next room wasn't the same Haley I married. And the worst part? I still loved her. I told myself maybe there was some explanation, something I was missing. But deep down, I knew. And what came next was worse than anything I could have imagined. That night, I sat in silence for hours. I could hear Haley's soft breathing from the bedroom. Every exhale sounded like a lie. I stared at the ceiling, trying to piece together where things went wrong. When did love turn into this? When did she start needing someone else more than me? At 3 a.m., I finally stood up, walked to my office, and opened my laptop again. I went through every single file, every hidden image, every timestamp. The first hidden photo dated back 3 months. 3 months of secret hotel meetings, texts, and lies. It wasn't just one mistake. It was a pattern. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't conflicted. She was living 2 lives, one with me, one with him. The next morning, Haley woke up like nothing happened. She made coffee, hummed while scrolling through her phone, even kissed me on the cheek before heading to work. I watched her leave, my chest burning with questions I didn't dare ask yet. That's when I called my best friend, Mason. He was the only person I could talk to without breaking down. "Man, you sure about this?" he asked after I told him everything. "You think she's actually—" "I don't think," I interrupted, my voice shaking. "I know. I've seen the pictures." He was silent for a while. "Then you need proof she can't deny. Don't just accuse her. Catch her red-handed." And that was the moment something inside me changed. The pain turned into a plan. That evening, I went to a hardware store and bought a small motion-activated camera. I hid it in the corner of our living room, disguised in a plant pot. If Haley brought Lucas here, and I had this horrible feeling she might, I'd know. 3 days passed. Nothing. Haley was distant but calm, acting like everything was fine. She'd smile, talk about work, even suggest going to dinner on the weekend. For a moment, I thought maybe she had ended it. Maybe it was over. Then came Thursday. Haley told me she had to stay late again, finishing some last-minute mood boards for Lucas. I nodded, pretending not to care. "Sure," I said. "Take your time." But I didn't stay home. I drove to the parking lot near the Westfield Hotel. My heart was pounding as I parked far enough not to be noticed. I waited. Minutes felt like hours. Around 8:40 p.m., a familiar car pulled up, Haley's silver Honda. She stepped out, looking beautiful in a black coat I'd bought her for our anniversary. My chest tightened. A few moments later, another car arrived, a dark blue Audi. And from it, Lucas Reed stepped out. He was tall, confident, the kind of man who always looked like he belonged everywhere. He smiled at her, touched her waist, and they walked into the hotel together. I remember gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. My eyes burned, but no tears came, just numbness. I waited 15 minutes, then left. I didn't want to see more. I didn't want that image burned deeper into my brain. When Haley came home that night, she looked tired, but content. I asked, "How was your client meeting?" She smiled. "Good, long day though." I just nodded. "Yeah," I whispered. "Long day." That night, I checked the hidden camera footage. Nothing unusual, she hadn't brought him home. But something caught my attention. A few hours before leaving, she'd been sitting on the couch, texting someone. Her expression was different, happy, excited. She'd even laughed out loud. I zoomed in on the reflection from the TV screen and saw the name at the top of the message thread. Lucas R. That was it. I had enough. The next morning, I left for work early but actually stayed in a nearby cafe. Around noon, I remotely accessed her phone's backup again. I needed to see if she'd messaged him after last night. And there it was, new photos in the hidden app, timestamped at 9:02 p.m. One of her smiling in that hotel room mirror, another of two wine glasses on the table, and one more of a man's hand touching hers. I wanted to smash my laptop. Instead, I saved everything. All the screenshots, the metadata, the photos, onto a USB drive. I needed evidence, not rage. When Haley came home that evening, I was calm. Too calm. She noticed it right away. "Everything okay?" she asked, setting her purse down. "Yeah," I said softly. "Can we talk?" Her smile faltered. "Sure. What's going on?" I gestured for her to sit. My voice didn't shake, but my hands did. "Haley, I know about Lucas." Her face went pale instantly. What do you mean?" "I know about the hotel," I said. "I know about the pictures, the hidden app, everything." Her lips trembled. She looked like she wanted to deny it, but she saw it in my eyes. I wasn't guessing. I knew. Finally, she whispered, "Ryan, please, it's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I said, standing up. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been lying to me for months." She started crying, covering her face with her hands. "It just happened, Ryan. I didn't mean to." I cut her off. "Didn't mean to? You met him over and over. You took pictures. You saved them. You hid them." She said, "I felt lonely. You were always working, and Lucas made me feel seen again." Her words hit like bullets. "So your solution to loneliness was to destroy your marriage?" She cried harder. "It wasn't supposed to go this far." I laughed bitterly. But it did. The silence that followed was unbearable. After a while, she whispered, "Please don't tell anyone. I'll end it, I swear." I stared at her, at the woman I once trusted more than anyone. "Haley, it's already ended," I said quietly. "I'm just deciding what comes next." She reached out to touch me, but I stepped back. That small gesture, pulling my hand away, felt like cutting a cord that had held us together for years. That night, I slept in the guest room. I could hear her crying through the walls. Part of me wanted to go to her, to comfort her, to pretend none of it had happened. But the other part, the part that saw those pictures, those lies, kept me frozen. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. No note, no message, nothing. But what she did next, that's when things truly spiraled out of control. But what she did next, that's when things truly spiraled out of control. When I woke up that morning, Haley's side of the bed was empty. Her keys, her purse, her phone, all gone. At first, I thought maybe she'd gone to work early, trying to avoid the awkward silence between us. But when noon came and she still hadn't answered my calls, a cold panic started crawling up my spine. I tried her office, but her coworker said she hadn't shown up. I drove by Lucas's apartment building, no sign of her car. Every hour that passed felt heavier. Then, around 5 p.m., I got a message from an unknown number. "Ryan, please stop looking for me. I just need time to think." It was her. Short, clipped, desperate. I tried calling back, straight to voicemail. For the first time in days, anger drained out of me and fear took its place. What if she'd done something stupid? What if guilt had pushed her too far? I spent the whole night staring at the front door, waiting for it to open. It didn't. The next morning, I checked the shared bank account. She'd withdrawn $1,500 in cash. No card activity after that. No hotel check-ins. Nothing. She'd vanished. I didn't know whether to call the police or give her space. After everything she'd done, part of me still couldn't bear the thought of her being in danger. 3 days passed before she finally came home. It was almost midnight when I heard the front door creak open. I walked out of my office, and there she was, eyes swollen, hair messy, holding a duffel bag. "Haley," I said quietly. She looked at me like a ghost. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know what else to do." I wanted to yell, to demand answers, but all I could say was, "Where were you?" She sat down on the couch, trembling. "I went to my sister's in Dallas. I needed to think before I ruined your life even more." "My life?" I laughed bitterly. "You already did." She wiped her tears. "I know, but Ryan, there's more." Those 2 words made my stomach twist. More? Haley nodded. Lucas isn't who you think he is. I frowned. What does that even mean? She hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a small silver phone, one I'd never seen before. This is his, she said. He gave it to me to keep some of his files safe. I didn't know what they were, but after you found out, I looked. He's been recording people, clients, partners. He's blackmailing them. And me. My blood ran cold. She continued, he threatened to leak everything if I stopped seeing him. I was scared, Ryan. That's why I hid everything. I thought I could protect you by keeping quiet. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My anger, my certainty, all of it cracked. Why didn't you tell me? Because I thought you'd hate me, she whispered, and because part of me was afraid it wasn't just blackmail. I liked the attention at first, and then it went too far. I leaned back, staring at the floor. My heart didn't know whether to break again or finally stop caring. So, what now? She slid the phone toward me. You're good with tech. You can prove what he's doing. End this. Maybe then you can forgive me. Forgiveness. The word echoed like thunder in a church. That night, I spent hours digging through the hidden files on the device. She was right. There were dozens of audio clips, messages, and contracts tying Lucas to illegal deals and recordings of multiple women. It wasn't just an affair. It was manipulation, coercion, control. I copied everything to my computer, created a folder labeled Truth, and contacted a friend who worked in cybersecurity. Within a day, he confirmed everything. Lucas wasn't just a cheater. He was a predator with a trail of digital evidence behind him. When I told Haley, she looked terrified. What are you going to do? End it, I said. 2 nights later, I met Lucas. I told him Haley had confessed, that I had proof. He smiled that arrogant smile I'd seen once before at her gallery event. You think anyone will believe you? He said. I'm careful. I slid a flash drive across the table. That's a copy. The original's already scheduled to upload to the police server if anything happens to me. Walk away from her, Lucas. Delete everything, or your name's going to be headline news by morning. For a moment, he tried to stare me down, but when he realized I wasn't bluffing, his face changed. You're making a mistake, he muttered, standing up and leaving. That was the last time I saw him. The following week, the police contacted Haley for questioning after an anonymous digital drop exposed Lucas's crimes. They said he'd fled the city. She told them everything. When it was over, she came home and stood in our kitchen like a stranger. You saved me, she said softly. I shook my head. No, Haley, I saved myself from becoming someone I'd hate. She looked down, tears falling silently. Can we ever fix this? I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell her I'd moved on, but the truth was complicated. You can't just erase love, even when it's been poisoned. I don't know, I said finally. Maybe time will tell. A few weeks later, she packed her things and moved out. No shouting, no final fight, just quiet acceptance. We both needed space to rebuild the pieces we'd broken. Months passed. The house felt emptier than I expected. I kept the dog, the memories, and the lesson. Sometimes, late at night, I'd scroll through old photos of us before everything fell apart. The vacations, the smiles, the little notes she used to leave in my lunchbox. Then I'd close the album and remind myself that trust, once shattered, never fits the same again. I posted my story on Reddit because I wanted someone out there, maybe you, to learn from my mistakes. Don't ignore the signs. Don't let love blind you to reality. And if the truth hurts, remember that pain is temporary, but self-respect lasts forever. I don't know what Haley's doing now. Last I heard, she was living near Dallas, working quietly, trying to start over. I don't wish her harm. In some twisted way, we both got what we deserved. A second chance, just not together. So yeah, if you've ever wondered how hidden apps can destroy a marriage, now you know. And if you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. Drop a comment. Tell me if you think I did the right thing. Hit like if you believe truth always finds a way out, and don't forget to subscribe. I've got more real stories, lessons learned the hard way,
coming soon. Because sometimes the scariest thing isn't losing someone you love, it's realizing they were never really yours to begin with.